It is best to act with confidence, no matter how little right you have to do it. It's the 1930s in New York City. Playwrights, screenwriters, and performance artists mingle in smoky salons over cocktails, politics in one hand and a martini in the other. But one woman stood out, a leader of the pack, Lillian Hellman. She was brilliant, glamorous, and sharp-tongued, known for her bold stage plays, her elegance, and her refusal to bow to political pressure, while also being a magnetic hostess. She was a cultural force, and her contributions to pop culture were nothing short of legendary. Lillian Hellman was born in 1905 in New Orleans, Louisiana, to a Jewish family of modest means, and she grew up shuttling between the South and New York. This dual upbringing between the genteel South and the elite cosmopolitan New York City gave her an early awareness of class, privilege, and social hypocrisy, preoccupations that would later shape the spirit of her plays. Sounds like George Bernard Shaw and Ms. Hellman would be a match made in theater heaven. Alas, the two never met. She briefly attended New York University and Columbia, but never finished her degree. Her real education came through her work in publishing as a manuscript reader and editor, while immersing herself in New York's intellectual circles during the 1920s. Lillian moved into the realm of theater as a script reader and adapter for Broadway producer Herman Shumlin. She quickly began experimenting with playwriting, and in 1934 wrote The Children's Hour, a play about two teachers at a girls' school whose lives are shattered by a child's false accusation of a lesbian relationship. The play premiered at the Maxine Elliott Theater on Broadway. At the time, such subject matter was daring, even scandalous. The play itself, however, was a sensation and ran for 691 performances. It launched not only Lillian's Broadway career, but ignited her path in Hollywood as well. Lillian started writing for Goldwyn Pictures, who had purchased the rights to The Children's Hour, and asked Lillian to rewrite the script for the screen, with a few revisions, such as removing notions of lesbianism and instead using adultery to appease censorship guidelines. Hindsight is 20/20. Lillian's career boomed with plays like The Little Foxes in 1939, a biting portrait of greed and corruption in a wealthy Southern family, and Watch on the Rhine in 1941, an anti-fascist drama staged even before the U.S. entered World War II. These works solidified her reputation as a playwright who insisted that art was political. But Lillian's story is not only about her work. She lived a glamorous life. She flitted from romance to romance, from theater producers to diplomats to writers. But she was more known for her parties. Her Hollywood home was a meeting ground for actors, producers, writers, you name it. Her place in New York was for her group of literary and theatrical friends. Her circle was large, and those friends included Dorothy Parker, Ernest Hemingway, William Faulkner, and Humphrey Bogart, just to name a few. This elite collective is where Lillian would go on to meet her great love, the mystery novelist Dashiell Hammett, creator of The Maltese Falcon. Their 30-year relationship was tumultuous, but totally iconic, a pairing of two razor-sharp minds. Lillian's political convictions defined her as much as her work. She supported anti-fascist causes in Europe and aligned herself with the American left. But the climate turned hostile in the 1950s, when the House of Un-American Activities Committee demanded she testify about communist influences in Hollywood. She refused to betray her friends, writing to the committee, "I cannot and will not cut my conscience to fit this year's fashions." Although this quote went down in history and made Lillian an icon of artistic integrity, the bold move cost her dearly. She was blacklisted from Hollywood for roughly 10 years. Ouch. While she was out of work in Hollywood, Lillian turned to memoir writing, publishing works like An Unfinished Woman and Pentimento. Her memoirs were widely celebrated for their wit and insight, but they also sparked controversy. Fellow writer Mary McCarthy famously quipped on television that every word she writes is a lie, including and the. Yikes. She sued McCarthy for libel in a case that dragged on until Lillian's death, cementing the feud in literary history. This chapter demonstrated how fiercely Lillian defended her reputation and truth, even late in life. Lillian died in 1984. By then, she had lost some credibility as a memoirist, but her place as a playwright was secure. Her plays continue to be revived, studied, and admired for their uncompromising moral vision. What can we learn from her today? Plenty. Perhaps that art and politics are never truly separate, and that courage, whether that be in writing, in politics, or in life, carries its own glamour. Lillian Hellman remains an icon, elegant, witty, courageous, and complicated. She gave us plays that still sting with truth, memoirs that sparked battles and controversy, and one unforgettable declaration of principle. She reminds us that the theater is not just entertainment. It can also teach us to have courage in the face of adversity. Nobody knows what you want except you, and no one will be as sorry as you if you don't get it.